Nightstands with Red Stick Furniture, and today I'm going to be taking this old Art Deco vanity and turning it into two nightstands. Kind of the reason I'm doing this is A, it's in really bad shape, and B, with the very low profile, the low height of the vanity, it would have a very low resale value, and typically nightstands sell better in my area, and in most cases they're going to be a better return and a quicker sale, but also just because it's got a lot of issues with it, and especially in the middle, the veneer is peeling pretty bad, and to replace the veneer on right there would be kind of difficult. Needs a lot of glue backs and things like that, and it does need a fair amount of work, but pretty confident that it's going to be a pretty relatively quick deal to turn it into two nightstands. But so I started thinking about how I was going to do this repair, and I kind of wanted to glue it back, but I just decided that since I'm painting the sides, I'm just going to rip the veneer off and do like a skim coat of some kind of grain filler or maybe Bondo just to get all the holes and make sure everything's good. It's just going to be easier to peel the veneer off. And any veneer on the drawers and on the top, I'll be gluing back down.
So I first started out trying a heat gun, and that did not work very well, as it rarely does, except for on very old pieces of furniture, like from the 1800s or, very early 1900s. So what I decided to try next was to use an iron. So here I am just using the iron to try to get the rest of the veneer off. One very important safety thing with this is that you really need to know what you're working with. And when I say that, I mean like what kind of material, and are you heating up something that's dangerous? In this case, I've removed the outer layer veneer that would have had the lacquer or toner lacquer or whatever on it. So I'm basically just heating up, uh, dried glue and wood. But if you're trying to go for the outer layer veneer first, you're going to be melting a lot of finish and stuff like that, and it's going to be a mess, as also being probably unhealthy. So here I'm just using a Bondo two-part, and there were a lot of like little bug holes, things like that I wanted to fill. And I'm trying to kind of fill in some of the grain here. What you don't see on the camera and that I did not get on film is that I actually did like a skim coat of Bondo of sorts after I primed it, and the reason for that was to try to fill the grain.
Alright, so before I can get on to what I really want to do, which is restoring the veneer, it's kind of peeling in some areas, actually in basically all corners on all four drawers. So I've gone ahead and taken off the hardware, And what I'm gonna do is just be putting a little bit of glue on the corners and trying to push it in as far as I can. And just using some clamping blocks and clamping it back down to hold on to it.
With the drawers done, it was time to spray a coat of shellac based primer. I just used Ben. It's readily available at any Home Depot or Lowe's or any store like that. Hardware stores, local ones also most of the time have it. So I'm just going to do one quick coat and I masked off the areas. And eventually, I'm probably going to share my process for masking because I find it's pretty helpful for areas where you have a section of veneer where you're painting or meeting up to one where you're staining.
The primer sanded, and basically I've got, I went back and I used some Bondo to fill in the grain a little bit more, and I know that that's not an ideal grain filler by any means, but I just wanted to use something quick to kind of fill in some little bad spots with the grain. And I also went back and final sanded the primer. And so for the coatings, I'm going to be trying something a little bit different. I'm going to be using the Sherwood Chem Aqua. And it's a water-based pigmented lacquer, and I've never used it before, but it is designed to be used in a cap spray, not a cap spray specifically, but an HVLP sprayer or a conventional sprayer. So it's made for this. I'm just gonna have to be careful to not get any runs when using it. It's a very thin product, and I just want to make sure that I don't have any runs to clean up or any issues like that.
So here's the first coat of Chem Aqua, and I have to say I was really pleased with the product. It went on very well. very smooth. The colors is probably the biggest limiting factor with Chem Aqua. You cannot get it from my Sherwin-Williams anyway, and I have a commercial account. You can't get it in dark bases. Not really exactly sure why. I'm not sure what the reasoning is behind that. Why they don't have a darker base for it, but they usually only carry the white base, and so you're kind of limited to light colors that you'll be able to find. And I just have a very, very, very light blue in here, and it looks pretty good. I have to say, I was really happy with it, and definitely going to be using it again in the future. I just do so many small projects that I kind of wish that it would come in quart sizes. And maybe I could probably use it a lot more. Um, but I really do wish that it came in smaller sizes and that it was able to tint it darker. So this is the second, and there's also one more coat after that at Chem Aqua, and it just progressively got better as far as like the quality, the finish, and the sheen. It started to look more like a gloss with every coat. So here's the finished nightstands, and they came out pretty good. I think the one thing I might do is add a little strip of wood in the back where the mirror sat. But other than that, they came out nice. I'm happy with it. Some last minute notes about the finish. I used Osmo oil for everything, and that's just usually the finish that I like to use.